Well, good afternoon and greetings from the Graduate School. Welcome to the fourth GRADLEARN series. The GRADLEARN series is a relatively new initiative to provide faculty and staff at WKU with current information about evidence-based practices relating to graduate education, thereby inspiring them to promote excellence and innovation in graduate studies. Today, we are deeply honored to have Ms. Catherine Schultz, Director of Academic Partnerships for the Central Region, ETS, Mr. Dale Turner, Associate Director of Academic Partnership, and Mr. Matthew Bashi-Kadlubowski, Associate Director from ETS as well. The topic of their presentation is TOEFL Updates, Expanding Your International Reach. This is timely given the expectation that the COVID-19 will soon become endemic and will better position WKU to explore options for expanding its international outreach efforts. I'll now turn over to Ms. Catherine Schultz and Mr. Dale Turner. Thank you for joining with us today and presenting new information to WKU.
Thank you, Dr. Kadali. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining this webinar here today. We are going to cover the TOEFL family of assessments and how these new assessments can support WKU in expanding your international reach. As Dr. Kadali said, this is part of the GRADLEARN series, and we're just so pleased to be participating in this today. I'm Catherine Schultz. I'm the Director of Academic Partnerships at ETS, and joining me is Dale Turner, as Dr. Kadali said, and also Matt Bashi-Kadlubowski, our Director of Academic Support Services. This is our agenda for today. We have several recent additions to the TOEFL family of solutions and want to make sure everyone is up to speed on everything new with TOEFL. We also plan to talk about how these solutions can help you to broaden your applicant pool. And because we have several, we will compare and contrast these assessments to one another, but also to other assessments out there. We'll review scoring, and then we'll talk about access and verification of test taker scores, and also access for students, how they can access these assessments. And then, of course, the important topic of test security. Most of you probably already know that ETS is a nonprofit, mission-focused company. We develop and administer over 50 million tests annually, but additionally, we offer support for institutions around research. Why don't we get started with TOEFL Essentials? TOEFL Essentials was introduced last year with its first test administration in August of 2021. And so in the past 6 months, there have been approximately 7,000 registrations for TOEFL Essentials, and it's being accepted at 300 institutions so far. There are 4 key distinguishing factors to note about TOEFL Essentials, and there's a lot to unpack here, so let's start at the top left. TOEFL Essentials, like IBT, is a comprehensive 4-skills English language test that measures proficiency in academic settings and also combines general English. It is designed and developed to be used for high-stakes admission. Then moving over to the top right, let's talk a little bit about test design. We believe that TOEFL Essentials will help you attract additional qualified applicants to your programs who may not have considered your university previously, but you'll be able to maintain your reputation for quality. A little bit more about the test design. Dale's going to dig into it a little bit deeper later, but I wanted to mention that it is a multi-stage adaptive testing methodology, which automatically presents test tasks that adjust to the test taker's proficiency level. Moving down to the bottom left, it offers test takers, TOEFL Essentials, offers test takers an affordable, it's about $100 to $120 depending on the country, and easy to access. It's taken at home with a live proctor, and it's a friendly and fast-paced test that is designed to attract test takers who perform well with that style of assessment. I also wanted to note for test takers, there are free test prep materials, and I'll go into a little bit more about that on the next slide. For institutions, you can count on having a research-based assessment with the right level of content rigor that uses human scorers as well as artificial intelligence tools and is human proctored for the duration of the test. Lastly, on the bottom right, going beyond the score, you'll receive additional data insights that go beyond just the total scores and the section scores. You will see additional measures of foundational skills, and also a very exciting new personal video statement, and then the writing and speaking samples as well. Here is a quick screenshot of our website that shows you the free full-length practice tests. There are 3. And also you can feel free to go to our website and practice yourself as well to get a sense of TOEFL essentials. I wanted to give you an idea of the acceptance worldwide. I mentioned so far we have 300 institutions worldwide accepting TOEFL essentials, and this is really just a sampling. I included both undergraduate and graduate, but you can see there's a wide range of institutions at the undergraduate and graduate levels, ranging from community colleges to 4-year public and private institutions, regionals, and R1 institutions. So TOEFL Essentials is a great option for any type of institution. The ones in the blue are offered both for undergraduate and graduate. I'd like to take a moment to dive into the scoring for TOEFL Essentials. So let's take a look at this. Whoops, sorry about that. This is what you will be able to see in the TOEFL showcase. There's really nothing like it on the market. You have so much information at your fingertips through the TOEFL showcase. And because we have an integration with Slate, everything I'm sharing with you here, you will also have available within the Slate integration. So starting at the top, you'll be able to access the scores. So the band scores, the total band scores, which are 1 through 12, and then also, of course, the section scores. Then moving around the clock, you also will have access to my best scores. I wasn't quite sure if you accept my best scores today. I didn't see it on your website, but we'll talk a little bit about that and what they are and why you might want to consider it to help you broaden your applicant pool. But then also to obtain a more holistic view of your applicants, you'll be able to read the descriptors of those foundational skills that I mentioned, and those are vocabulary knowledge and sentence construction. You'll be able to watch this fantastic new personal video statement and watch or listen to the speaking samples and read the writing samples. So all of this is available to you within the ETS Data Manager TOEFL Showcase or through your Slate integration. I'm just going to take a moment to show you a preview. Dale is also going to dive into this a little bit more, but when I talk about the showcase, this is the showcase. So everything that you need, from the scores to a link to the personal video statement to the samples as far as the listening or the speaking and the writing samples, are all in one location, and it's really easy to access. Also, if you want to access and see the My Best scores, they're also available here as well. I do want to take a moment though and share more about this new personal video statement. This is new to TOEFL Essentials, and it's really just fantastic because it gives you the opportunity to kind of virtually meet your applicants and your prospective students. And it lets you really see them and hear them in their own voice. And so just to give you a little bit a lay of the land, what they're presented with are 2 questions. The first question is always the same. What would you like to tell people about yourself? And so they have 2 minutes to share a little bit about them. So you really do get to meet them. And then they are presented with the second question, which they select one of 2 that are randomly selected, and they have to provide their opinion on that topic. So it's very exciting, and it's available to be able to see in addition to just the scores. It gives you so much more of an ability to get to know them outside of just that number. The other thing I wanted to point out is what we call the virtual interview. Now, this is a part of the speaking section and is scored, whereas the personal video statement that I just talked a little bit about is an unscored section. And so this is different from that personal video statement. So the test takers will hear audio and they will be asked questions like they're in an interview. And so as an example, they might be asked, are you currently a student? Tell me about your travel experiences. When was the last time you went on a trip? And so that is a part of their scored speaking section. And as I showed earlier, you can access those the speaking section from the showcase. Now I want to talk a minute about scoring features from the test takers' perspective. The test takers will be able to see their unofficial listening and reading scores at the end of the test because they're machine scored, and then their official scores will be available within 6 days. And then with TOEFL Essentials, this is exciting, we are offering an unlimited number of score reports to be sent to institutions at no additional cost. I mentioned briefly the My Best Scores earlier, and you may be familiar with them from the TOEFL IBT test, but we are also offering My Best Scores with TOEFL Essentials. And the My Best Scores are automatically calculated using the TOEFL Essentials scores, and it combines the highest scores from each section. And this really allows the test taker the chance to meet your score requirements, but with fewer test attempts. So it's a really great feature for students. And I wanted to include this note over to the right because I thought this was really important, particularly since we're talking about broadening your applicant pool. There was some research that was shared with us that universities that accepted My Best Scores saw a 16.5 increase in their TOEFL IBT score reports sent to their institution compared to that same time the prior year. And so I thought that was astounding and really something to consider if you're wanting to broaden your applicant pool. And then I mentioned the additional performance data about their English language foundational skills, that vocabulary knowledge and sentence construction. So speaking of scores, because TOEFL Essentials is on a score scale of 1 to 12, and IBT is 0 to 120, we have created this concordance table so that you can take a look at your IBT scores and then compare them to what you might want to set your TOEFL Essentials scores to. And I was looking on your website and I saw for undergrad it was 71 or higher, and then for grad 79 or higher. And so using the box below, that's the undergrad score, you can see 71 is at the very, very, very top end of the score scale for IBT. So you would probably want to go with the high end on the essential side, so 7.5. We're happy to talk through a lot of this with you after today's webinar, if you have any questions on scoring. I won't get too deeply into the section scores today. There's a lot on this table here. This is another concordance table, so suffice it to say that we provide the information you need to help you determine the best subscores based on your IBT scores. But just to orient you to the page, it has the 4 skill areas: listening, reading, writing, and speaking at the top. And then under each category, you have both your TOEFL IBT scores, and then you can compare those to where you would like to fall on the section scores for TOEFL Essentials. Now, I'm going to hand this over to Dale, and he's going to walk us through a comparison of the tests for TOEFL Essentials, and then also introduce you to the new TOEFL IBT paper edition.
Thanks, Catherine. So let's take a look at some tables that compare TOEFL Essentials to some of the other commonly used English language assessments. Now, it's understandable that people will compare TOEFL Essentials to the English language proficiency test that they currently accept. So we've developed the table on this and the next slide to highlight the differences between three other commonly accepted tests to foster a better understanding. I'll give you an opportunity on both to absorb the charts, and while I'll highlight some key differentiators. With TOEFL Essentials, you get the best attributes of all the available assessments. Accessibility. It's taken at home in one test session and in 1.5 hours or less. Affordability. It's half the cost of most major assessments at $120 US or less. There's a mix of both academic and general English, similar to IELTS. Test items are written and pre-qualified by human assessment experts rather than auto-generated by computers. And they're pre-tested with human test takers in the field to ensure accuracy, reliability, and fairness for a diverse global population. The TOEFL Essentials test is developed by the same trusted ETS research scientists that developed the TOEFL IBT. Continuing with the next comparison table, TOEFL Essentials provides unlimited score reports for test takers. It measures and reports section scores for the 4 core English language skills of reading, writing, speaking. TOEFL Essentials also measures foundational English proficiency for communication beyond basic language knowledge. So you'll hear this theme as we talk about essentials. I know Catherine touched upon that earlier. The test security includes live human proctoring for 100% of the test, in addition to AI security measures. And responses are scored by human raters rather than machine scored. In this next section, we'll cover the newly released TOEFL IBT paper edition. ETS is always trying to find ways to help institutions expand their international applicant pool, but also expand access to education for test takers, because one size doesn't fit all. That's the reason we've introduced both TOEFL Essentials and the TOEFL IBT paper edition to assist in both of these for test takers and for institutions. This newest addition to the TOEFL IBT family is the same exact test that you've come to rely on. It's just delivered on paper at a test center, which allows for one more way that test takers can access the test. You already accept the TOEFL IBT taken at test centers and the home edition. Now students that prefer the paper testing format have the option to take it that way, and you have access to an expanded pool of applicants. The reading, listening, and writing sections are taken at an ETS authorized test center, while the speaking section is taken at home on a computer, scheduled within 3 days using the same proven security as the TOEFL IBT home edition. The paper edition offers a more comfortable option for test takers. There's a 10-minute break after the reading and listening sections and before the writing section. The speaking section can be taken from the comfort of home with 100% online human proctored security, so that you can travel back to the test center a second time. The paper edition is also more convenient. It has the same registration deadline, other TOEFL IBT test, just 2 days before test day. Choose their speaking appointment time unlike other paper-based tests where it's assigned by the test provider. Test takers can send unlimited free score reports to institutions of their choice, and it automatically includes My Best Scores. I want to take a moment to reiterate the benefit of accepting My Best Scores if you don't already. As Catherine mentioned, as you can see, universities that accepted My Best realized an average of a 16.5% increase in score reports sent to them. Now we'll reinforce the scoring for the TOEFL IBT paper edition. Since the TOEFL IBT paper edition is the same test as the TOEFL IBT taken at a test center and at home, there's no need to change your current score requirements. Forget about any old paper versions and different scoring. The new IBT paper edition matches the IBT score scale. Section score bands are scored on a scale of 0 to 30, and total scores are scored on a scale of 0 to 120.
I wanted to also note, Dale, too, that I noticed on the WKU website, they already accept previous versions of paper editions. And so I would just encourage you to update that information to reflect the new paper edition and the scoring, because it matches, as Dale said, the TOEFL IBT scoring.
I think you're going to share some recommended language for those updates as well later on in the presentation. Now let's take a look at a comparison of TOEFL Essentials and the TOEFL IBT family of assessments. We previously compared TOEFL Essentials to other language tests such as PTE, IELTS, and Duolingo. Now we'll take a look at Essentials as it compares to IBT. To simplify this chart, I've highlighted Essentials in yellow to distinguish between the IBT tests. And look, there are only 2 TOEFL tests, Essentials and IBT. There's not 4 separate tests. TOEFL IBT just has 3 different testing methods now available, again, to expand your international applicant pool. TOEFL Essentials test is unique and distinct from the TOEFL IBT. As we read this chart across, let's look first at what it measures. The TOEFL Essentials test measures foundational elements of English proficiency that indicate how test takers would function in both academic and non-academic settings. The TOEFL IBT test provides a comprehensive, direct measurement of communicative language ability in an academic setting. Students most likely to take the TOEFL test are those looking for a test that blends quality and convenience with an engaging format. Students most likely to take the TOEFL IBT test are looking to stand out in the admissions process. TOEFL Essentials, again, is 50% academic English and 50% general English, whereas the TOEFL IBT test is 100% academic English. TOEFL Essentials was developed with shorter, faster paced tasks for an energetic experience, while the TOEFL IBT was developed with longer, interconnected tasks for an immersive experience. And TOEFL Essentials is 1.5 hours in length, while the IBT is 3 hours long. Other distinguishing characteristics include test design principle and delivery. Both tests have 4 sections: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And TOEFL Essentials, as Catherine emphasized earlier, also includes a 5-minute non-scored personal video statement. TOEFL Essentials was designed to be a highly efficient multi-stage adaptive test that measures the full spectrum of English language proficiency with fewer test items in just 1.5 hours. The multi-stage adaptive format basically means that the test questions adjust to the skill set of the test taker as they go through the test. TOEFL IBT was designed to be the most comprehensive assessment of communicative language ability in academic settings. TOEFL Essentials tasks were designed to efficiently measure proficiency tailored to the test taker's ability level using the multi-stage adaptive methodology I explained, while TOEFL IBT uses carefully selected tasks that represent what students need in an academic environment. TOEFL Essentials is administered exclusively at home using the same platform, technology, and security as the TOEFL IBT Home Edition. Or on paper at a testing center, as outlined earlier. Students can choose the test that best fits their testing style so they do their best and demonstrate their abilities to prospective institutions. And institutions now have another valid and reliable measure of English language proficiency. Now we'll discuss the ways in which you can access test scores efficiently. You can access test taker score data and verify scores in the free ETS Data Manager. If you're not familiar with the Data Manager, the ETS Data Manager, or don't currently have access, Catherine will share information about how you can get set up with the free account. You can have as many users as you like, and the administrator can add and remove users as needed. What you're looking at right here is the kind of the home screen where you can access different features of the ETS portal. In the top left, you can see where you access scores in the ETS Data Manager. Here, you can view only score reports sent by ETS and access photos, voice, and writing samples, and also watch Essentials personal video statements. In the bottom left, you can see where you can verify TOEFL scores from any test taker, whether they were sent to your institution or not, in the Online Scoring Verification System, or OSVS. To verify scores, you'll need appointment number and date of birth for the test taker search. You can then access score reports, photos, voice, and writing samples. Here's a look at what the TOEFL Showcase in the ETS Data Manager looks like if you're not familiar with it again. It's an online portal for official TOEFL score users that provides more key insights about applicants to help you make more confident decisions. As you can see in the top portion, you can see a photo of the test taker, and you can also access additional information if you click the student details portion next to the test taker's name. You can see things such as the country of birth, the date of birth, gender, so those demographic information, native language, and also test center information along with other data in the student details section. You can view the personal video statement, total section, and my best scores, as you can see on the screen there, writing and speaking samples, and foundational skills that we mentioned earlier, such as sentence construction and vocabulary knowledge, which is scored in percentiles. The TOEFL Showcase in the ETS Data Manager allows score users to customize reports sent to your institution using several criteria. So this is a really exciting feature. You can pull reports for all test taker data sent to your school. You can select criteria such as gender, native language, country of birth, desired field of study, next level of study, time spent studying English in a secondary or post-secondary school, age range, and a number of other criteria. You can download these reports in Excel or PDF in other formats as well. This tool allows for fast and convenient viewing capabilities anywhere there's web access. You can search, sort, filter, and download all test taker data you need, all with an exception. It's free. No special software is required. Once you're set up with the ETS data manager, Catherine would be able to schedule, she'd be glad to schedule a training demo for any users. I'll give you one example of how another institution is actually using the custom report feature in the ETS data manager. They are interested in being able to identify the sections where international students are maybe scoring the lowest and maybe need the most help, because they want to develop some remediation courses to assist these students as they make their transition right into the classroom. So they're going to customize these reports and pull that data so they can see sub scores and assist them in the development of these remediation courses. So that's just one example of how another institution is using some of the custom reports in the ETS data manager. So again, if you are not familiar with it or not set up on it, I strongly encourage you to get information and sign up for free access. Let's discuss access of the various TOEFL tests. So the IBT is available worldwide, okay? The home is available everywhere except Iran, and we're working on the process to be able to offer it in Iran as soon as possible. The TOEFL IBT paper edition, the phase 1 launch was October of 2021 with the first test administration in December. And the initial rollout was in India, the United States, Mexico, and Colombia. Other countries will be progressively added this year and beyond. We're working with authorities in China to launch as soon as possible as well. Again, so as you can see, TOEFL Essentials is available worldwide as well, with the exception of Iran. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Catherine to discuss test security. Catherine?
Yes, thank you, Dale. Before I go on to test security, I do just want to punctuate that both the TOEFL IBT Home Edition and TOEFL Essentials are available in China. When we first rolled out the TOEFL IBT Home Edition, it wasn't, but we did work with them, and now it is available. And TOEFL Essentials was actually always available in China. So I know that's an important note to share. So let's dive into test security. We've mentioned it a little bit as we've gone through the presentation, but the test security protocols that are in place for both TOEFL Essentials and TOEFL IBT use that same at-home testing platform, the same technology, and the same security. And testing security is of paramount concern to ETS during the test creation, the administration, through scoring, and during reporting. I do want you to be aware of some of the unique measures that we take to use remote proctored testing. And as we mentioned before, it does use the same successful platform technology and security that we established first for the TOEFL IBT Home Edition and now for TOEFL Essentials. The test takers perform a very comprehensive security check at the beginning that encompasses showing their ID, checking their computer and their software. They have to show the testing room environment in a 360 format, where they have to use their phone or a mirror to show the whole room. And then there is a live human proctor for the entire testing period. They monitor continuously through the test to make sure of any security violations. We utilize best-in-class facial recognition software, as well as gaze tracking to guard against that malicious activity. And gaze tracking is, it tracks their eye movement. And so if they see a test taker constantly looking over, to one direction, that's, a little bit above and beyond the normal, that's what that gaze tracking software tracks. And then lastly, we capture a video recording of the entire test event, just in case it's needed for future security concerns. I'm going to recap because I know we've covered quite a lot in about 40 minutes. But as you can see, we have a very broad offering of the TOEFL assessments now that go beyond just TOEFL IBT, in that we now offer IBT in a home edition version, now in a new paper edition, and then we also launched the new TOEFL Essentials assessment. So it provides the flexibility and the choice for students, and it allows them to actually choose based on what their testing preferences are. And therefore, by choosing their preferred mode, they will likely perform better. I also wanted to review, again, not to drive this home too much, but that by accepting my best scores, you could see an increase in your applications as well. So all of these options really combined can help to bring WKU an expanded applicant pool, which was really the kind of subtext of the conversation here today, how to expand your applicant pool. Now, as far as next steps, of course, you can always stay connected to me if you have any questions, and Dr. Kudali in the graduate department is a great resource and a connection to me as well. Also, as far as TOEFL Essentials, we have this decision kit that is available, and it has links to all sorts of documentation. For example, you will need to update your data file, and so to ensure that the test scores properly come into your instance of Slate. And so that's just something that will need to be done. And then lastly, to communicate your acceptance of the variety of tests that you take. And I mentioned earlier that you'll want to update your website about the paper scoring because it has the old scoring on the website. And then hopefully you'll add IBT Home Edition and TOEFL Essentials. And then also, if you want to tell us about your acceptance, we will include your institution on our list of accepting institutions. Students really do come to our website to look at who accepts what assessment. So it's just a nice way, and we'll promote WKU on the ETS website as well. Well, that was a whirlwind, and that really concludes what we were hoping to cover today. I know we don't have a lot of folks on today, but if there were any questions, or if you want to gain back a few minutes of your hour, we're happy to conclude as well. Dr. Kudali?
Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Catherine Schultz and Mr. Dale Turner. It's a wealth of information, and it'll be a wonderful resource as we share this recording with the graduate program coordinators, deans, assistant deans, associate deans, and staff members as well. So as Ms. Schultz had indicated, we do have some time. So if you have some pressing questions, this is an opportunity for you to unmute yourself and ask questions to the ETS team, or post questions in the chat box as well.
Oh, good. I saw Scott said that he oversees the graduate school website. So Scott, I will send you that preferred language for the TOEFL paper. That'd be great if you could update that quickly. Thank you.
I see a hand raised. Fatin, you want to go?
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kudali, and thank you to Dale and Catherine for sharing about TOEFL Essential. And thank you also for coming up with this innovative solution that will make those tests accessible and affordable to students around the world. So the question I had was about the validity of the score. How long is it valid once you take the test, the TOEFL Essential particularly?
Yes, it's 2 years.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well,
I'll chime in. 2 years is like the standard in industry for actually for all English language proficiency tests. And it's just because English language proficiency can change in a relatively short period of time if somebody's not immersed in the language. So it's kind of like the industry standard.
That's a great point, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, are there any comments, questions, or clarifications that you may have from ETS? Well, it looks like there are none. So I again want to take the opportunity to thank ETS that we have strengthened our partnership over the course of the past few years since I started serving on the GRE board, and I'm deeply appreciative of the efforts that ETS is taking to promote innovation in graduate education and their efforts to continue to partner with institutions and provide new and current knowledge. So we remain grateful to you, Ms. Catherine Schulz, Mr. Dale Turner, and Mr. Matthew Bashi-Kolobowski. So we'll continue our engagement through emails and strengthen our partnership. And to the attendees, thank you for coming to this GRADLEARN. This is another initiative from the graduate school to help bring new knowledge that you can take back to your programs and see how you can make your programs have robust enrollment. So thank you for joining with us this afternoon. A recording of this will be posted in our YouTube channel and shared with the constituents in an all faculty, all staff email. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kodali.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good afternoon.
Thanks.
Enjoy your day.